So we have been called cheap.
I like to use the word frugal.
He can use whatever he wants. We've still been called cheap.
Yeah, it's being cheap is a way that we're able to travel and have this lifestyle, keep a home base and get out 7-8 months a year, and it keeps us in budget.
Yeah, when you retire early and you want to live the lifestyle that we want to live, being cheap or frugal allows you to stay on budget, which is really, really important. I'm Lynn.
And I'm Danny.
Welcome to RV America.
The original and frugal RV America.
Yes. So today we want to share with you what we have learned about staying on our campground budget.
Yep, we found a way to keep camping costs way down. In fact, over the last 4 years, we've averaged just $19.60 a night. And our best year was,
Really good.
Yeah, really good. And our best year was a couple years ago in 2022. We were out 215 days that year, and we had our costs down to $13.70. So we know
Which
a
is
little.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing, and we know a little bit about being frugal.
So what we want to do in this week's video is to share with you the tips and the how-tos that we have learned to stay within our budget and save a lot on camping costs.
Yep. And the way we kind of look at it is in two ways. Number one is saving costs as much as we can when we go from point A to point B. When we're driving, taking the RV from here to Canada, we had to know where were some places that are point A, point B that we're going to stop along the way where we could save money. And the other area is when you're there and you're going to be staying a longer time, and there's ways to save there. So let's start first with how we save money as we're traveling from point A to point B.
So when it comes to traveling from point A to point B, our goal is to have zero campground costs, if at all possible.
Yeah, the idea is if you're traveling and you've got a ways to go and you're making stops along the way to get to your final destination or your big rock, as we called it before in the videos, you should be able to try to save all kind of money. And we want to tell you a little bit about those. And when we talk about our memberships, and those dollar amounts that we used before when we talked about only spending $13.70 for the year, we included every membership that we have.
We included our campground membership fees in that.
Yep.
So one of the ways that you can save when you're going A to B is by making really good use of your campground memberships. And I'm not talking big expensive memberships. I'm talking memberships that are reasonably priced.
Right. Especially if you're already going to be out on the road quite a bit throughout the year, then these memberships pay for themselves.
Okay, so there are some things to consider here. Do you want a campground? Do you need a campground? Before you can boondock and say, like at a Cracker Barrel, we have to make sure we have water in our tanks and batteries charged, because otherwise we're going to be miserable. Hey, nobody wants to be miserable on a trip, you know? So there are some things to consider. A lot of times if we have very long travel days, there is no sense in paying for any kind of a campground, no matter how inexpensive it is, if you're going to get there and you're getting there late and you're not going to have time to enjoy it any at all, and then you're going to get up the next morning and hit the road again.
Yep, you're just looking for a place to sleep.
A place to sleep is all you're wanting. So things to consider.
So the next thing we do is we kind of map out where we're going from point A to point B. And then we look along that route to look at, are any of our memberships, or is there any free camping or anything that can cost us zero? So we take RV life and we kind of map out where we're going, and then we start looking at it, what's along the way. Is there free camping? Is there Boondockers Welcome? Is there a Harvest Host? Is there 1,000 Trails or a Passport America? And those are some of the memberships that we use, that we look at, see if they're going to cost us not anything above the membership. So that's what we want to do, is have no additional costs, because these memberships, as I've said so many times, will pay for themselves if you're able to use them. And one of the first ones I always look at is Boondockers Welcome, because we love Boondockers Welcome. It's Harvest Host owns Boondockers Welcome. A lot of y'all are aware of Harvest Host, but Boondockers Welcome, as we said before, and we've got videos that we'll link and put down in the description, is RVers helping RVers. They've got property.
It's a fun program.
Yeah, they got property. They've got, maybe it's a driveway, like mooch docking, or just something where they'll let RVers stay on their property, and it's for free. Now, it could be some costs if you're saying, all right, I need their 30 amp or 50 amp, if they happen to have it. Not all of them have them. Or if I need any kind of utilities, then they might charge you, and probably will charge you a little.
$5 or $10 a night, which is nothing.
For those. But if you've got your batteries charged and propane or whatever the case may be, then you could stay there and not spend anything else. And that's what we've done with the last place we stayed. We just used the solar and kept the batteries charged and stayed at a Boondockers Welcome site, beautiful site. And that is one of the first places that we look. Is there something along the way? And they're RVers, so they're a great community. They like to check on you, where you been, and they tell about their adventures, and we share our adventures, and it's just a great way. It's a extension of the campground where you meet so many nice, great RVers.
Boondockers Welcome is one of my favorite programs because the people typically, not every time, but typically, they enjoy conversation. So they are wanting you to tell them your story and visit with them. And I know a lot of people are intimidated when they first use this, but once you use it,
Yeah,
you're gonna love it.
They fill out an application. They're vetted. It's safe. It's a safe place for RVers to stop along the way. It's really good. Going along with that is Harvest Host. We have used Harvest Host. We don't use it as much as Boondockers Welcome because we unless you're already planning to go out and maybe grabbing a bite to eat at one of the restaurants at Harvest Host, that's a Harvest Host, or some people go out to wineries or breweries or something such as that. If they're already planning to do that, then it's not going to cost you any more. But you do have to spend $20 to $30 a night out eating. So it's businesses helping RVers. So it's a good program. They get a little bit of business and you get a place to stay. And like I said, if you're already planning to go out to eat or whatever the case may be, then it's free.
Win-win.
Yeah, that's considered win-win.
The thing about Harvest Host is if you're not real careful, you will spend more at Harvest Host than you would if you just went and got a regular campground. So that's what you have to watch, do your research, and make sure where you stay, it's not going to cost you more than a campground would.
Yeah.
Or else you're not saving anything. But if you're just going for the experience, that's awesome. By all means, do it.
Yeah. And as Lynn said before, if you're the type that's already going to be eating on travel days or something like that, and you're already going to spend money in restaurants, then you might as well go spend it at Harvest Host and stay at that.
Stay for free in a safe place.
Yeah. So that's a good deal. Another thing we have is, and we've got a video on this, and we'll link that down below, is 1,000 Trails. A lot of you heard about 1,000 Trails, and some of you heard about the thousands and thousands of dollars, up to $10,000, $15,000 packages. We don't do that.
We didn't do that. We're too cheap.
We're too frugal.
We're too frugal for that.
So we get the basic camping zone, and we look at where we're going to travel that year, and we try to get that zone and keep the cost down real cheap. If you stay in there enough nights, and we've had that down to below $7 a night at 1,000 Trails because we stayed in them quite a bit when we were going out west and along the way. So it's been a great tool to have in our tool belt.
The problem with 1,000 Trails is they're only in certain locations. And so a lot of times, depending on where you're traveling, you won't have one around anywhere. Like next summer, we're headed to Alaska, Lord willing, and we go to Alaska. There's no 1,000 Trails. So we won't even renew our yearly membership. We'll just drop it when it comes up for renewal, and we'll have a year without it. We won't have to pay for it.
Yeah. And that's one of the advantages of just having the camping zone is that you don't have to renew it every year. But if you have one of these lifetime packages, you got to pay the yearly fees each year, which equals what we're paying each year. So it's something that
something to consider.
It's a great tool, but we can usually stay somewhere. In Florida, a lot of times we'll stay somewhere for zero additional dollars above that, and we really get to bring our costs down. And like I said, all these memberships are in our grand total that when we get an average of $19.60 a night for camping. That's all in there. So these tools really work. Another membership that we have, and it's only $44, is Passport America, and they give you 50% off of campgrounds on certain days or certain nights. These are
certain months.
Yeah,
certain seasons.
Yeah, these are campgrounds owners that are looking to get business during times that they normally don't have business. So it's a win-win situation. Mm-hmm. They're getting someone in on a night that they don't usually have a lot of people. Some might do it Sunday through Thursday. Some might do it 7 days a week, or whatever the case may be, and some might not do it during busy seasons. But it's a great way. It's not a way to have a zero cost, but it's a way to have next to zero cost.
We stayed at a campground last year when we were on our way back from the West, and we actually were paying $20 a night, and the people next to us were paying like 40 or 50 and they told us that. We had this conversation because they were not Passport America people, but it's one that you have to do your research on.
Yeah.
Do not go in there, you're not going to just drive in there and get it. You have to do your research and make sure that the time you're going to be there is one of their allotted times.
Yeah, it's in their campground notes, so you can check that out. Mm-hmm. Other places that when we're going point A to point B, Cracker Barrel. We've stayed at Cracker Barrel a lot. We do that more than Walmart. You've heard of people staying in Walmart.
We've not stayed at Walmart. I'm not really excited don't know that we will ever stay at a Walmart parking lot. I'll never say never because
we never say
this
never.
summer when we were in Canada, every Walmart we went to had campers lined up in the parking lot, and they encouraged you. They were sitting out and having drinks in the parking lot. I mean, like they had their tables, their lawn chairs, and they were just all hanging out like it was a big campground.
Now that's not always a good idea, but that was the case at that particular place. But
Yeah.
but Cracker Barrel's a great one. They are been helping RVers for decades. If you notice in the back, there's RV parking, RV bus parking. They encourage you to come in and stay overnight, and in return, you're encouraged to go in and eat. So there again, if you're already the type that are going to grab a bite to eat on the end of travel day for dinner, or before you get going, grab a breakfast before you get going, then you can have zero cost because you're already going to eat. You know, if you weren't going to cook in the rig, you would have paid for somewhere. So there's another zero cost.
Be sure that you call and ask the manager before you assume you can stay in the Cracker Barrel parking lot, because sometimes there are city ordinances that prevent it.
Yeah, it's rarely Cracker Barrel saying no, you can't. It's usually a city saying ordinance.
Now, another thing to consider is when you do these campgrounds or stuff, depending on the mileage that your rig gets, you don't want to go real far off your beaten path. That's one thing we love about Cracker Barrel. They're within a mile of the interstate. And so it's jump off, jump back on, roll on. But there are campgrounds and things, and they may be 10, 15 miles off the interstate. Not only have you lost time, but you've also you have to include the cost of your fuel.
Yeah.
From the RV, because we get 8, 9 miles to the gallon. And so, 15 miles is going to cost us 2.5 gallons of gas, and that's going to add to our cost. So
yeah,
it may be that we just need to stay near the interstate, pay a little bit more, and not drive that way.
Yeah, you do the math and just see what works.
So this being said, when we stay at the Cracker Barrel or other restaurants, we do not count the cost of our meal in with our camping cost. We got to eat anyways.
Yep.
We'd eat whether we were in a campground or staying at a restaurant. The benefit is we just get to sleep there,
Right.
So we don't include that in with our camping fees at all.
One of the things that you can have a zero cost on is boondocking. Everybody that tries it usually ends up liking it, but it's that first time when you're boondocking somewhere. And one of the things that I use is iOverlander. I'll put something on the screen to it. It's an app and they've got a website also where you can see where free camping is. Freecampingsites.net is another one that you can use. And but I love iOverlander because you can we have a 35-foot motorhome, so we put big rig friendly in there, and it will tell you that these sites have been reported by users as big rig friendly. So,
and we're really excited now that we have our solar all worked out and everything. We're really excited to try more of this than we've done in the past in the coming year.
Yeah, we've usually used it just for a spot here, a spot there, but we hope to use it, especially on that trip to Alaska, that we'll be able to use it quite a bit, and that will really lower your costs down. One of the things that we do, we like to go around
is mooch docking. If you have friends that have a place and will allow you to stay in their yard, that's going to really help your cost.
Or they're in front of their house or whatever the case may be.
Right, on the street, wherever. Now, I will say we were able to do more of this in our previous rig than we've been able to do in this. It's a little harder because they have to have more space for us now between the RV and the tow car. So
when we first started, we had the Class C with no tow car, and it was 30 feet. So
it was easy to get in anywhere.
Now that the 35-foot motorhome and pulling the Jeep, you need a little more room. So it's you've got to kind of say, can we fit there?
Yeah.
And good.
And also not can we fit, but are we going to get our roof ripped off by the tree limbs going into them? Because the pretty trees down the roads and stuff are absolutely beautiful until you're in an RV, tall RV.
Right.
Then they're not so pretty anymore.
Right. And then we've got a video called 20 Places to Camp for Under $20, and that's a good tool. We'll put a link to that. But some of those that we included were, we already mentioned Walmart, but Bass Pro Shop, rest stops, and a list of other things that you could use.
Let us know if you've stayed at a rest stop overnight, because we have not. I don't know what I think about that. I don't know. We've never done it. So I don't know that it's something I want to do. It seems like it would be extremely noisy. So put in the comments if you've actually stayed there and how it was.
Yeah, same for Walmart, because those are two that we've always, when we first started doing research, I said, great places to stay overnight because it's free, but you're going to have truck noises coming in and out of Walmart or the rest area. and that's why we've chosen other places that have less traffic.
Yeah, so let us know if you've done those places and give us your opinion on it. Would you do it again? So these are the tools you can use when you're going from point A to point B to really save money on your camping costs.
Yep, save it on travel days.
Save it on travel days. That's a great way to save. Now, let's talk about when you actually get to your destination and you're going to be there for a bit.
Yep. Now, some of the ones we just talked about, we still use. We still use Thousand Trails. Our membership allows 2 weeks in, then you've got to take a week out. So
rarely will you want to be in a place longer than 2 weeks. I'll say week.
We are still in a travel mode where we like to get out and find new places to explore and adventure. So 2 weeks is usually the most we have when we were out in Montana. Now, if you haven't seen that series on Glacier National Park, man, that's a beautiful place. I'd still say that's
our top place we have ever been ever. So
we've got a series on that, so I'll post a link to that. But check that out because we did stay a month in Glacier.
We stayed an entire month in Glacier.
That's the longest we've ever stayed anywhere.
And still miss things.
Yeah.
That park is amazing, and there's so much to see and do. And I just couldn't get all the hikes in, so have to go back one day.
And we have used Boondockers Welcome for extended stay 5 days or so, and I think even longer than that on other times. But you can use those. But some of these you're going to be aware of, such as look for a monthly rate. If you're going to stay somewhere, if you're the type that says, I'm going to Florida, I'm going to be there for 3 months, and you're going to stay at the same place, look for monthly rates because you might be able to find a good monthly rate. Now, if they're in a touristy area like Glacier, they didn't offer a single discount on.
They didn't give a single discount. It was just what it was.
Yeah. No matter that you did stay a month.
And it was an expensive month, but it was well worth it.
Yeah.
Well worth it.
Another thing that we did, and I keep bringing up videos, but we've got a lot of videos out there, but we camp host for a month, and it was almost camp hosting. I'd say we just did one day.
Camp hosting.
we were actually camp hosts. We did work 1 day a week, and we got a free month
last year. So
it was. I think we had to work 4 or 5 Wednesdays, was it?
Yeah.
And then we got a free month there. So if you're trying to retire early or you're just trying to save money,
that's a great way to do it. Is by work camping. You know, whatever they need you to do. We worked in the company in the camp store, and it's just if you're wanting to be in an area and the campground costs are outrageous, see if you can't find a job around there somewhere.
Yeah, and a lot of them you can check. We'll give you 4 days on, three or 4 days off, just depending on how it goes. And we would, if we were to do it again for a longer period, we'd make sure we had plenty of time to explore, to get out and hike. I'm really not.
Which working 1 day a week, we had lots of time to explore.
We never had problems with that, but that's a rarity of 1 day a week.
1 day a week.
But if I don't want to work
a fluke,
40 hours and then be too tired to work or go hiking somewhere, so.
Right. Another thing you can do if you're going to stay in a place is look for a discount. Because this summer we had let our Good Sounds membership lapse, but when we were up around the Cabot Trail in Canada, one of the campgrounds that we were at actually said we give you a Good Sounds discount, and it was going to save us like $50 for the time we were there, but the membership was $30, so we came out ahead, and we've used it 2 or 3 times since then as well, so it just keeps saving us money. Ask what discounts they have, and if you don't have the membership card for the discounts that they accept at the campground, they will probably be willing to sell it to you.
Yep.
And then you can, do the math, make sure you're going to come out ahead.
Look at what you have. A lot of places take AAA, AARP, and other discounts.
You're telling your age.
Yeah. But don't be afraid to ask the discounts. Now I'll ask, when I first started getting a little bit of gray hair here, let's ask for a discount. I'm not telling them I'm a senior. So don't be afraid to ask for those discounts. And one of the big ones is American Beautiful Pass, or the senior pass. Once you get 62, you can buy a lifetime pass for $80. And that gets you half price camping in federal places.
Which brings up another thing for the Corps of Engineers parks. Those places are amazing, and their price, like what do we pay, $16 a night to stay, $16 or $18 a night to stay out at Floating Mills Campground. And it was a cool campground. I mean, like, we really enjoyed our time there, and a lot to explore in the area.
Yeah, right. And
we're just not used to the Corps of Engineers yet, because he, hasn't had his pass that long. And I'm not old enough to get a pass, so.
She's that close. So that is part of that pass will get you half price or close to half price in most of those places. So Another way, if you're like us, and like I said, we rarely stay longer than a week or 2 weeks. So we as we're going to the next spot, or we're going just a little bit farther around the corner to a different section of that state, we'll sprinkle in some zero cost stays, such as the ones we already mentioned up earlier in the video. And as Lynn mentioned, with this trip coming up to Alaska, we're planning to try to boondock quite a bit.
Yeah, we want to boondock a lot.
And so you can use boondocking. We've got friends that boondock 90% of the time, and they save a ton of money.
So another thing that you can do if you want to save money on your camping fees is try to go during the off season. Like if they're one of these places that the season runs from June, July, and August, go in May or go in September, and then you will get better rates.
Yeah, you'll hear them called shoulder seasons because they're just right that close to when most people are there, so you get less people and usually a cheaper rate. And the weather's almost as good, or the activities that are available are almost there. So you can really go to some places and miss the crowd and save some money. So that's a great way. We're winding down the video. We want to say, is there anything we missed? We always want to find free, or we want to be cheap or frugal. Find a way to save more money. So if there's a place that you go and it helps you save money, please put it in the comments down below.
We are always looking for new ways to save money. Always. And I know there's things out there that we don't know about. And you can't take advantage of something. You can't take advantage of something if you don't know about it.
Right. And then one other question for you is, how cheap do you camp? Some people like glamping. Some people like to save.
We are not the resort people because typically we don't go and stay in the campgrounds. This campground is just a place for us to park and get out and explore because we're explorers.
Everybody's different. Some like to go to a place for a season, 90 days, 4 months, whatever the case may be. Stay in the same campground, meet new friends. And then there's others like Lynn and I that like to get out and explore, meet friends along the way, and get going. And just everybody's a little bit different, and everybody has different seasons of life. How cheap do you camp? What do you average? How do you save money? Please let us know that down below.
So we really hope you found some of this information useful. We hope it helps you to save a little bit of money.
Right.
Maybe you can become cheap like us. Until next time, God bless and many safe travels.
And go RV, America.